You ever watch an old Western movie and almost feel jealous of how simple they lived their life back then? Life today seems so complicated. Smartphones, Facebook, Snapchat, it's all so much. You don't know who to believe, we don't know what to believe. It's almost like we're all out here lost. And when you get home from your 9 to 5, cut on the news, it's almost like every channel you turn to says the exact same thing. And there's something deep down in your gut that says, this just isn't right. Well, today, I'm gonna tell you why that is. This is Hurtful Truths Over Comforting Lies. I'm your host, Levi, and settle in, grab some popcorn, cause this is gonna be a wild ride.
Hi, I'm Fox San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our
Treasure Valley communities,
the El Paso, Las Cruces communities,
Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But
we are concerned about troubling and irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
the sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish fake stories that simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 Today, it seems that we are forced to take sides on every opinion. Republican, Democrat, race, religion, sexuality. I mean, I can't even post on a gaming forum without controversy over what kind of console I use. But the real question to ask here is this just simply human nature to have this herd mentality and follow what everyone else thinks? Or are we being systematically divided? Every time this subject comes to mind, I think about that scene in Bug's Life.
But there was that ant that stood up to me.
Yeah, but we can forget about him.
Yeah, it was just one ant. One ant.
Yeah, you're right. It's just one ant.
Yeah, boss, they're puny.
Puny? Say, let's pretend this grain is a puny little ant. Did that hurt?
Nope.
Well, how about this one?
Are you kidding?
How about this?
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line.
Would it be so far-fetched that Bug's Life really had a deeper meaning here, given that Disney is part of the problem? What's to say the government's not the grasshoppers and we're the ants? Just like them, they want to make sure that we feel as small as possible and without power. Now, there's a large misconception today that there's a freedom of choice in your media, but that has never been further from the truth, ever. In 1983, 90% of all American media was owned by 50 companies. Fast forward 30 years, we're now sitting at 5 media giants controlling 90% of everything you see on the news. News Corp, Disney, CBS, AT&T Time Warner, and NBC Comcast. Oh, and the little subsidiaries you see under the parent companies? That's just the beginning. Out of these 5 companies, there's 232 media executives. They control the diet of 277 million Americans. That's one executive to every 850,000 Americans. Total revenue for the Big Five was $257 billion. To put things into perspective, that's 36 billion more than Finland's GDP. That's enough to buy every NFL team 12 times, and 5 times the government bailout of GM. I want you to understand the full scope of the control here. So we're going to back up and look at the 4 major medias: television, news, radio, and movies. Let's start with television. These 5 companies control 70% of your cable. The Comcast-NBC merger guaranteed control of 1 out of every 5 hours of television and monopolized 11 US markets like New York City and Chicago. And the news doesn't get any better. 178 million unique users read Time Warner News every month. That's 2 times Diggs, Tumblr, and Reddit combined. News Corp owns the top newspaper on 3 continents: Wall Street Journal, The Sun, and The Australian, and in 2010 they avoided $875 million in US taxes. That's enough to double FEMA's budget, or fund the NPR for the next 40 years.
Now let's talk radio.
In 1955, the FCC forbade companies to own over 40 stations. Yet, the Clear Channel owns 1,200 stations. Matter of fact, in Minot, Maryland, they own every single station. Everywhere else in the United States, 80% of stations' playlists match exactly. Mrs. Robinson has aired 6 million times. That's 32 years of back-to-back non-stop play. I don't know about you, that is a good song, but I couldn't listen to it for 32 years. Now, let's take a visit to the box office. Sales hit $7 million in 2010. That's 2 times the box office sales of the next 140 studios. Enabled by the FCC regulations and a decade-long orgies of mergers and acquisitions, these 5 companies dominate our media landscape on an uncomprehendable scale. And well, until regulations return or they buy each other out of existence, they will continue to control everything America sees, hears, and considers important. The icing on the cake is that they all get together once a year. No cameras, no recordings, and just have a little talk. Man, would I love to be a little fly in the wall in that room. But that's for another video. This is Hurtful Truths Over Comforting Lies. Remember that the best lies are always half-truths. Stay away from speculation and research the facts. And if you guys have an interesting idea for a video, drop it down in the comment section. I would love to hear what you got.